It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
6:06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Thursday. And I swear to you, I can see the weekend from here.
Today's show is sponsored by Velcro shoelaces. Work like shoelaces, attach like Velcro, one product and twice the hassle.
Actually, there was a time they were doing Velcro. They didn't call them shoelaces, but, they were just Velcro shoes instead of shoelaces. I tried them. And just like my shoelaces, I Velcroed them once when I bought them, and after that they became slip-ons.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave. Come to think of it, every so often I see a commercial on television that shows, here, shoes you can wear all day long, and they're slip-ons. And I think, my shoes have always been slip-ons. Whether I had the Velcro shoes or I had shoelaces. The shoes I'm wearing now, which are sneakers, I bought them, I tied them once. I've had them for a while now, quite a while. And they are slip-ons every single day, so I don't see the, okay. Anyway, a couple of things I want you to hear before we get into some real news. And there's a lot of real news to talk about today. One of them, just some fun with some meltdowns. I only have one for you today. MSNBC, as you know, right after Trump lost. Well, their ratings were already in the toilet anyway. And then Trump won. I think I said lost. He won. And MSNBC's ratings went further down because so many people were listening to MSNBC and believing them, especially the polls and so on, and Harris has this and she's going to win and Trump is a Nazi, et cetera, et cetera. Their ratings really went into the toilet as people realized you guys were just lying to us the whole time. Okay, so to try to save the television show Morning Joe, which never really had all that great ratings anyway. I mean, there's people on the internet, on YouTube, that do morning shows on just YouTube. That's all. They're only there. They're nowhere else. And they have better ratings than MSNBC by far. Okay, well, after Trump won, the Morning Joe ratings were really, way low. They lost a little over half their audience. Then, to try to save themselves, the host and co-host, Joe Scarborough, and he had married Mika. Those two are now married. They have been for quite a few years. They decided, well, maybe if we try to do something different. So they went down to Mar-a-Lago, and Trump agreed to meet with them. And they had a conversation with Trump. Now, the problem is those on the left are in freak-out mode because you told us this guy was Hitler. You told us that our democracy would come to an end under Trump. What are you doing down there talking to, as some people were saying, kissing his ring? So now Morning Joe's ratings cut them in half again. I mean, they were in the toilet before. After the election, cut their Morning Joe ratings in half. Now, since they went and talked to Trump, cut them in half again because liberals are just beside themselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie O'Donnell.
So Mika and Joe went down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. It's the last time I ever watched Morning Joe. Period. End of statement. Unreal. Unreal. For months you were telling us he's the worst thing that could happen to this country and democracy. And then you go kiss his ring? Despicable. Despicable you. Both of you.
Okay, now here's what really gets me about this. I'm going to play a part of that again. and I'm going to pause it somewhere in case you didn't notice it, but I bet you did.
So Mika and Joe went down to Mar-a-Lago to
Right.
kiss the ring.
Kiss the ring. That's
It's the last time I ever watched Morning Joe.
Okay.
Period. End of statement.
Okay, so period, end of statement. But then she keeps talking. See, what I would have done is, if it were me doing something like that, and you heard me say period, end of statement, there would have been dead air after that and nothing else. Because I said period, end of statement. Or I could have just said period, but she continues to talk. Anyway, she's done with Morning Joe as well, and she was a longtime viewer of the television program. So, to me, it's just interesting to watch the collapse. By the way, MSNBC, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to it. The ratings are so low. The network wants to put it up for sale and bring it back, if they do, as something a bit different. We'll see, because everybody currently working at MSNBC is worried about their jobs. I know you're cheering out there. On that note, remember I told you I went and dug up our social justice warrior? I had him on hiatus for a while. I did some really great episodes. I think we did about 15 episodes. I say we because I know you were involved with me, a lot of you sending ideas for episodes. And then I kind of ran about, well, what do I do with him next? Because we had really hit a peak about great stuff we had done with him. But now, if Trump is back, then I can bring the social justice warrior back. So I wrote an episode, and you guys gave me a lot of suggestions for future episodes. This is just the reintro, if you will. And I sent the script off to the Dan. The Dan lives in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and he is the voice of social justice warrior's sidekick, Alfred. The Dan, or Alfred, never leaves their basement apartment, which is, of course, social justice warrior's mother's house, and they're behind in the rent by like 2 years by now. So, what's happened since the election? Let's go find out. Time now for another thrilling episode of Social Justice Warrior. Our warrior was so convinced that Harris was going to win. He really hasn't been doing anything in a while. But now that Trump, the evil orange meanie, has won basically everything, our Social Justice Warrior, fearless as he is, has been afraid to leave his apartment. A translation, hiding in his mother's cellar with his sidekick, Alfred.
Oh, the world is a much safer place now that we have Harris and Waltz in the White House.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Finally, we have defeated those evil Nazi conservatives. The entire world is now a safe space.
Wow. Talk about delusional denial. You know, almost everyone voted for Trump, even your mother.
Where's my rainbow coloring book?
Man up, sissy boy.
Ew, you hit like a girl.
Don't misgender me. Now more than ever does the world need a social justice warrior against the evil of the orange meanie. Now prance over there in your little rainbow tights and mask and defend until the end.
Oh, Alfred, you're right. The world needs me now more than ever. Hand me my tights.
You still don't have the butt to wear those.
Do you really think I can beat him?
Hell no. But posting videos of you getting your ass kicked on TikTok always gets me like a bazillion views.
Will our hero? Heck, what am I even trying to say? No, he won't. Whatever it is he plans to do, and trust me, he does not have a plan.
Did Mom really vote for Trump?
Yeah. She had a sign out in front and everything.
Really? How come I never saw it?
Probably because you never go outside.
So there you go, the latest episode of Social Justice Warrior. Now he's going to have to fight the big evil orange meanie for the next 4 years. Morning, Hollywood. Hollywood's in Laramie. He says these D.C. crooks are losing their collective because they know they can't stop Trump for setting Gates loose on their criminal actions over the next few years. I tell you something else. I do have a story on this Hollywood coming up this morning. It's not a surprise to me at all. There's many in Washington, D.C. that want to just go ahead and quit anyway. I mean, just before even Trump gets there, they want to just leave, quit, and would be a good idea. One of the articles I was looking at said that it would be so much easier if they just did, which is what happened with the EPA last time Trump was president. Many in the EPA just left. Well, good. That means we don't have to fire him. 6:16 is the time. Wake up.
Start your day. Wake up, Wyoming, with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join the conversation at 888-97-WOODS.
6:23 is the time. It's Wake Up, Wyoming. Morning, Paul. Paul's out there in Casper. Hollywood is down there in Laramie. Paul says, you've seen the movie Fun with Dick and Jane and with Jim Carrey. There's a scene where the company employees and Ron are shredding documents rapidly before fleeing. Yeah, actually, Paul. And what Paul's talking about is the employees in the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C., and I do think many of them are shredding documents before they leave so they don't get dragged back into Washington, D.C. on criminal charges. I actually think that's happening, much like when Elon Musk took over Twitter. And when he did, he went into their, of course, they don't have paper documents. You know, Twitter has everything in their computers. So he starts digging into their computers and finds out and shows us online how absolutely corrupt they are at Twitter. It was just disgusting what they were doing. Those of us who were screaming, hey, the purveyors of misinformation are Twitter, to name a few, and the way they censor alternate points of view is absolutely disgusting. And he was able to dig into that. So imagine what is in Washington, D.C., which would be far, far, far beyond that, including not just corruption in power and influence, but corruption in money. Yeah, well, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars go missing in Washington, D.C. all the damn time. Just absolutely just vanish. Nobody knows where. And people in Washington, D.C., from politicians to bureaucrats to other influencers, who should not be making millions of dollars on their salaries, walk away and even retire multimillionaire rich. What the hell happened? Well, let's go digging into. I would love for the Trump administration to do that. Let's just go digging in there. Let these people quit. They're afraid of Trump. Let them run. But let's make sure that they don't go destroying things before they do. We all I would love to see all sorts of documents. It would take years to go through it all. Well, decades, because we're talking about, this country's been around for a long time. But imagine going back even just a decade, just one decade, going back and taking a look at the corruption and so on. And, oh, yeah. And I don't care who we throw in jail. I don't care which party they're with. I don't care. Especially when it comes to the bureaucracy. Man, I'd love to clean house like that. Hollywood in Laramie says, get ready for the drop, Bill and Hillary. Yeah, well, and we can go back quite a ways. I mean, you remember when we had the end of the Obama era? And I think it was I don't know if it was the idiots on CNN or MSNBC, one of those. They were having a roundtable discussion, and they actually said, wow, imagine 8 years of a corruption-free administration, not a single scandal. And we're all listening to this going, are you kidding me? It was one of the most corrupt administrations in the history of presidential administrations. So imagine going back through those documents and just releasing them to the public. Now, again, is the Trump administration going to do? They have so much on their plate right now. Are they going to do something like this? I would love them to. I really would. Go after Bill and Hillary, there's so many people. Go after the Obama administration. Oh, hell yeah. Be great. Even if we never threw them in jail, even if we just exposed it. Now, the beauty of it also would be to expose it in such a way that we don't have to worry about New York Times or LA Times or, any what we now call legacy media, because they're pretty much done. We go around them like we did during the election. Oh, by the way, here's something that got me. Let's go back to Ronald Reagan. He got around the news media, this is before the internet, by doing mailers. It was a lot of money, but he mailed things directly to the American people to talk to them. This time we got around the media by using the internet. We didn't need so-called legacy media anymore. We just went around it all. And thank God we did. Morning, Wolfie. Wolfie is in Campion. Start playing the music from the movie Ben as the rats leave the swamp. Paul's in Casper. He said, oh, no, I just read that, didn't I, Paul? Yeah. Well, I can see this now because, again, I have several stories here that say, and we'll have to wait and see, several stories that say already bureaucrats are packing up and getting ready to leave before Trump arrives. Now, I don't know if that's true. I want to see if it is. It was last time, especially with agencies like the EPA. They quit before they were fired. Please do. And then again, let's make sure, because I think this is a good point to make, let's make sure on the way out the door, they're not tearing up documents, deleting things, going down to the shredder, stuff like that. Let's leave those documents behind. Okay, coming up on some local business that we have to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National, local update on the weather forecast. I just got done watching an auction at Sotheby's. I'll tell Frank about it. Remember that banana that was duct taped to the wall as a piece of art? If you hadn't heard about this, they just sold it. The so-called artist wanted to make a point about how stupid the art world has gotten, and I think he did. Hang on, I'll tell Frank about it when we get close to that. Also, your extended weather forecast at 6:45 with day weather. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Honestly, he's just happy to be here. Catch Glenn Woods on Wake Up Wyoming, weekdays at 6 on air, on Alexa, and on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
6:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, since we're on the conversation, I got plenty of local stuff to talk to you about, too, today. But since we're on this one, here's a story. Got to be careful. It's from CNN. But if you're just joining us, well, the number of employees that might be leaving the federal government because Trump is showing up, which would make things a lot easier. It did happen last time he was elected. The EPA, a lot of people just quit. And Trump did not replace them. So you see how easy that makes things. All right, so from CNN, so again, caution on this story. President-elect Donald Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency, a non-governmental entity, helmed by billionaire Elon Musk and biotech entrepreneur, former Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, is expected to make a push to end remote work access across federal agencies as a way to help reduce the federal workforce through attrition. See, there's a lot of people who really got used to working at home and they don't want to go back to the office anymore. So they'll just quit. Both Musk and Ramaswamy, I'm always thinking I'm mispronouncing his name. I probably am. Have recently publicly lamented the number of employees working remotely across government. A source familiar with the discussion about the focus of the DOGE, which the innovation is known, told CNN that while nothing is final, early priorities include an effort to immediately end remote work across federal agencies, making a 5-day work week a requirement for all federal employees. Quote, it's a no-brainer. It's a step that many companies have done. So why shouldn't the federal employees who are paid with taxpayer dollars and required to be in office be there? The thinking is kind of a mandate coupled with moving agencies out of Washington, D.C., closer to where they are actually supposed to be doing the work. Like, for example, moving the BLM to Colorado with the idea that, look, you're doing work in Western states, so you might as well be from the Western states. We will hire people not who are bureaucrats from D.C., because one of my big complaints about the BLM is here are people making all sorts of rules and regulations and enforcing them who have never been out west. They should be from here if they're going to be the bureaucrats in charge of these things. So, okay. On Wednesday, following the publication of this story, Musk and Ramaswamy published an op-ed Wall Street Journal that outlined their plans to reform government and took aim at remote work. Quote, requiring federal employees to come to an office 5 days a week would result in a wave of voluntary terminations that would be welcome. If federal employees don't want to show up, American taxpayers shouldn't pay them. COVID is over. Currently, not all federal workers are required to be in the office 5 days a week. Each agency determines its remote policy to best accomplish its mission. There are 1.3 million federal workers approved for telework, according to the data. Quote, the implication that federal employees at large are not working in person is simply not backed up by the data, they say. And then they go through all the data here, whatever the numbers might be. Oh, then CNN goes into disrupting lives. Some federal employees have been allowed to work fully remotely, saying that forcing them to go back to work would upend their lives. Well, boo-hoo, and not necessarily save the government much money. I can't abandon this career, one Library of Congress she lives in the Midwest, told CNN. I would be forced to move back to D.C., and if that means separating from my family. Well, welcome to the same kind of workplace that everybody else in the world has to deal with. Workers who requested anonymity to protect their jobs had reported into their office in Washington, D.C. 5 days a week for many years, but COVID changed that. So it goes on about this, about making people go for remote work. You get the idea. But also there would be those people in D.C. that would quit because I keep pointing to the EPA as one example. Sorry, but we're reducing the size of your agency. And we're just going to let a lot of people go. Your jobs are no longer required, especially when it comes to those people who are activists inside the EPA. Last time Trump was president, a lot of activists knew that they were going to get fired, so they just quit before he showed up. So I'm going to be interested to see between now and when Trump is sworn in, how many of these people just leave because they know that they're going to end up getting fired anyway. Chet and Yoder, Denver's two force mayors. Let me see. Okay, I'll read that when we go through the next break here. Larry and Casper, I don't know, Glenn. Earlier in the conversation, in my humble opinion, the Biden-Harris regime was the most corrupt, or did Biden know how corrupt he was? Well, are you comparing, Larry, the Obama administration to the Biden administration? I don't know who is more corrupt, Biden or Obama. That I don't know. What I do know is when Obama was leaving, CNN and MSNBC, among others, were trying to convince us that it was not a corrupt administration at all, that they had no controversy, no scandals, which is nonsense.
Good evening, guest services. How can I help you?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Actually, my English is not good.
Okay.
But Tom and Jerry?
Yes, the cartoon?
Yeah. Jerry is here in my room.
I'm sorry?
Jerry is here in my room.
You have a mouse in the room?
Yeah. Please come here, and when you come here, bring Tom with you.
But we don't have Tom in the hotel.
Okay, come please.
Okay, thank you.
If it's happening in Wyoming, it's on Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods from K2 Radio. Join the conversation at 888-97 Woods.
Remember some time ago, a guy took a banana and duct taped it to a wall and it sold for millions?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Well, he did it again.
What did he duct tape to the wall now?
Another banana. Now, this time,
they more millions?
Sotheby's sold
Sotheby's?
Yeah, they sold it in an auction, which I just watched on that ridiculously large television they have in my studio. It went for $6.2 million. Now, the point of this, though, and as part of the artistic experience, after the banana sells, the artist will step out and eat it.
Then it won't be worth $6.2 million.
I don't know. But the point, he's trying to make a point, though, about how stupid the art world has become.
He has said that publicly.
Yes. I think he's made his point.
But you're biting the hand that feeds you.
Yes. Or the banana that feeds you.
Yeah,
so what he's doing, I'm watching the auction, and people during the auction are laughing hysterically because they get it. But I'm also wondering, do they really get it? Because somebody's after the banana thing is going to put up something that's supposed to be a painting, and you and I both know it's just going to be slop on canvas. Mm-hmm. And that's going to sell for a couple of $1 million, meaning they really don't get it, do they?
This is legit. This was not a joke like the Mike Tyson fight or anything.
No, he actually put a banana on a piece
and
of
it sold
board
for
and duct taped it.
$6.2 million.
$6.2 million. It just sold like 4 hours ago.
There are people with $6.2 million just to throw away
around there, yeah, on a banana that they don't even get to eat. I mean, if after all of that money spent, I'm going to eat the banana. I'm going to keep the peel, and I want the duct tape too.
You can buy the whole farm. All right, in junior college volleyball, the national tournament is underway in Clarksville, Tennessee. Eastern Wyoming from Torrington is the Region 9 champion this year. And the Lancers yesterday lost to the number one rated team in the country, and that's Florida Southeastern in the first round in 3 straight. Florida Southwestern in 3 straight, 25-16, 25-13, 25-17. EWC will play Weatherford, Texas later on today in a loser-out match. Eastern received a solid season this year from Cheyenne East grad Bowden Lillydahl as a libero, and she had over 700 digs this season. Wyoming Cowgirl volleyball team will host Utah State tonight in Nevada on Saturday in Laramie. Cowgirls are coming off a 5-set loss to Fresno State, so they're 14-11 overall, 6-10 in Mountain West play. The top 6 teams will advance to the Mountain West Conference tournament in Las Vegas, and at 6-10 in league play, UW is 7th, 2 games out of the 6th and final spot. Wyoming Cowboy basketball team at home tomorrow night to meet Southeastern Louisiana. The Cowboys are 3-1 after a win over Utah Tech their last time out, and Southeastern is 2-2 and after a 3-point win over Louisiana Monroe. It's a 6:30 start tomorrow from the AA in Laramie. The Wyoming Cowgirl basketball team hosting Colorado Christian on Friday morning in Laramie. UW lost to Gonzaga on Saturday in Spokane, and also has absorbed losses to Colorado and BYU, so they're 1-3 on the year. And that game starts at 11 in the morning tomorrow at the AA. Wyoming Cowboy football team meeting Boise State on Saturday in Laramie. It's a battle of one of the best teams in the country in Boise State against one of the worst teams in the country in Wyoming. The Pokes are 2-8 after a listless performance against Colorado State in Fort Collins, losing 24-10 last week. Boise State is 9-1. They rallied from 14 points down to beat San Jose State 48-21 as Bronco running back Ashton Genty had 159 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, and he is certainly in the running for the Heisman Trophy. UW 22.5-point underdogs, and that says it all. Game time at 5 p.m. on Saturday in Laramie. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. That's it in sports.
So what I'd like to do, for those people who like to bet, there's no point in betting on whether UW will lose.
No, I read that Boise State has a 95% chance of winning, according to some of the betting houses.
You bet on lose by how much?
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
How you can do that, the over and under. There's other bets you can make, but if I don't even think they're going to cover the spread.
No, they're not. No.
So you're already spotting the Cowboys 22.5 points before the game starts. And then they still might lose by more than 22.5 points.
Sure, okay. So go ahead, place your bets now. I know it's not going to happen, but wouldn't it just be great if they surprised everybody and won this one? We would all be sitting here with our mouths hanging open and go, why weren't you doing that all year long?
It'd be like one of those shock the world kind of things.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing. Yeah. Well, unless they're the quarterback of the opposing team trips and falls on his face on the way out, it's not happening.
The only way Wyoming will win if Boise State's bus gets lost on the way to the stadium.
We can make that happen.
Oh, okay.
There's ways.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Frank. Well, I mean, bad weather, people change signs on the way, they get lost. Coming up on some local business, news time, 888-97 Woods, the phone number. Wake Up Wyoming.
Yeah, but
7:06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Thursday, and I swear I can see the weekend from here.
Today's show is sponsored by Velcro shoelaces. Work like shoelaces, attach like Velcro, one product and twice the hassle.
I had those many years ago. It was actually a thing. You could buy shoes that had Velcro instead of shoelaces, and I found out it was just the same as when I had shoelaces. I still use them as slip-ons like I do today with regular shoelaces. All of my shoes are still slip-ons.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave. Before I get into the next batch of news here, and I have a bunch of local stuff for those people living in Wyoming, I want to go ahead and play this again, because some people asked me to play it early in the morning when I had it ready, so they didn't miss it. Well, people listen, it's a 4-hour program. Some people listen to the entire program every day. Other people, well, it just depends on what their morning schedule is like. Which, by the way, you can always go back and listen to the entire show as a podcast later. And it's condensed, so it's not all 4 hours. We get rid of news, sports, weather, just the meat of the program. Use your Wake Up Wyoming app, touch on demand, touch Wake Up Wyoming, select your episode. There you go. All right, so and I told you I was going to bring the social justice warrior back now that Trump will be president. So I got a hold of, well, you guys first off, and some other people. What are ideas for scripts? And we have a whole bunch of ideas for scripts now. If you have new ideas of what the social justice warrior should be doing in the next 4 years, I'll add them to the list. So this next bit is a introductory for a new Trump administration. So I'm the voice of the announcer and social justice warrior, and the Dan from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, is the roommate and sidekick, Alfred.
Time now for another thrilling episode of Social Justice Warrior. Our warrior was so convinced that Harris was going to win. He really hasn't been doing anything in a while. But now that Trump, the evil orange meanie, has won basically everything, our social justice warrior, fearless as he is, has been afraid to leave his apartment. A translation, hiding in his mother's cellar with his sidekick, Alfred.
Oh, the world is a much safer place now that we have Harris and Waltz in the White House.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Finally, we have defeated those evil Nazi conservatives. The entire world is now a safe space.
Wow. Talk about delusional denial. You know, almost everyone voted for Trump, even your mother.
Where's my rainbow coloring book?
Man up, sissy boy.
Ew, you hit like a girl.
Don't misgender me. Now more than ever does the world need a social justice warrior against the evil of the orange meanie. Now prance over there in your little rainbow tights and mask and defend until the end.
Oh, Alfred, you're right. The world needs me now more than ever. Hand me my tights.
You still don't have the butt to wear those.
Do you really think I can beat him?
Hell no. But posting videos of you getting your ass kicked on TikTok always gets me like a bazillion views.
Well, our hero... heck, what am I even trying to say? No, he won't. Whatever it is he plans to do, and trust me, he does not have a plan.
Did Mom really vote for Trump?
Yeah. She had a sign out in front and everything.
Really? How come I never saw it?
Probably because you never go outside.
So there you go. The latest episode of Social Justice Warrior, and many of the ideas that you guys sent to me, I have on a list here, which will be made into future episodes. We have 4 years worth of material to have fun with. All right, now, let's go back to your property taxes here in the state of Wyoming. Hot issue, I know. Wyoming legislators are going to be bringing back a property tax bill that the governor had vetoed. This is a story by Cowboy State Daily. And by the way, it's almost exactly the same bill. So I'm going to be interested to see how they get around. They might this time have the votes to override a veto. We'll see. Story says Wyoming legislator isn't taking no for an answer and plans to bring back a bill that Governor Mark Gordon vetoed last year. Remember when the governor vetoed the bill, there was talk about having a special legislative session. Because Gordon vetoed quite a few things. And so with this legislative session coming to an end, they don't have time to go back and override those vetoes. Do they have a special session? That idea was thrown out. So we're going to have to do it this session, right? Joint Revenue Committee advanced a draft legislation, it says, at its meeting Monday, that it passed into law would cut property taxes by 25% for single-family residents, home values of $2 million or less. The bill is almost identical to the legislation Gordon already vetoed. In his letter, Gordon called the bill socialistic and Bidenomic type of tax relief in a reference to Joe Biden. The committee passed the bill on an 11-3 vote Monday. It passed into law, would go into effect in the upcoming tax year for 2027. And then it talks a little bit more about what the issue is. Don't forget, legislators also have the new Amendment A that was passed, which is another property tax relief thing, which is, it gives the legislators the tools to write property tax relief bill. And I know that's going to be another big discussion in the legislative session here. I'm still in favor of the idea of getting rid of the property tax and going to more of a sales tax idea. I think the bill needs some more tweaking, but it's a much better idea. We'll see what they come up with this legislative session. Now, another story. Oh, yeah, Rianne from Fort Danger likes the episode of Social Justice Warrior. That was glorious, she said. All right, now, for those people who live in Mills, Casper, Edgerton, you know that, Evansville, you know there's that wind farm that's been sitting next to you for several years, not turning. And I've asked people on air, even some people who are political figures in that area, even Natrona County officials, what's with that? Because it's right there on the edge of town, takes up a lot of space, a lot of sky, and it hasn't moved in years. What is wrong with this place? Why isn't it doing anything? And I get, well, it's on private land and shrugged shoulders, and we don't really know. And I've asked that both on and off there, but quite a few times I've asked, even when I've had a mayor on or a county commissioner on, something like that. What is with that wind farm right at the edge of town that everybody has to look at, and it never does anything? All right, well, I was interested to see that once again Cowboy State Daily had put up a story, and this is Dale Killingbeck who wrote the story for them. I think Dale lives in the Natrona County area, maybe in Casper. Story says, for the past 14 years, they have loomed over the landscape at northeastern Casper, once a symbol of the country's first steps into what they call green energy, which, by the way, is not green. Now, some say they're just an eyesore. The blades of the 11 240 feet high, 450,000-pound turbines haven't caught wind for a few years. My understanding is about 3 years. Casper resident Terry Winiger says he is one of Natrona County's commissioners who approved the initial project back in 2009. He wished he had not this time. Quote, they were the first towers in this area, and we had several neighborhood meetings out there. Some of the neighbors were terribly against it, and some of the others just didn't care. It was one of the first ones in this area who voted for them. So wind turbines were erected on the north side of the North Platte River, across from where the old Texaco refinery used to stand, for those people who know the area. He said both the EPA and Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality considered the entire area contaminated from the refinery operation. So if you can't do much with it, might as well put up a wind farm. There's nothing really else you can do with it. At the EPA's website, it states the entire site of the refinery's footprint needed a cleanup. The 880-acre north of the river had evaporation ponds and other such things from the refinery. So, okay, why haven't they turned? Because the story, it's a good story, it goes into quite a bit of detail. Chevron representatives had a zero update, zero information as to whether they're going to turn it on. Chevron, that owns the wind farm, says that they want to, at some point, get that back up and running again. And it should be pretty soon, they say, but they don't say what pretty soon is. And my thought is, I don't know what kind of rules we set up with them for building that wind farm, but they set there right on the edge of a town. Everybody's got to look at them all day long. Either turn them on or take them down, one or the other, please.
What's your biggest ick in a guy? Probably when they drive like a Tesla or any type of electric car. Why? I don't know. I'm not really like into feminine guys. You know, like they need to be masculine. And it's feminine to drive a Tesla? It's not very manly like when your car doesn't make any noise.
When you need to know quicker than the morning paper or the 5 o'clock news, you need Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Mornings on K2 Radio.
7:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. So yesterday, later in the program, we got into an entire conversation about a dam, which I like to say they want to blow up. I don't know how they plan to demolish it. Just my fantasy is they would pack it full of a lot of dynamite and take the whole thing out at once. But anyway, help me out because I'm always worried. The La Prelle Dam, is that how you pronounce it? If you go to Douglas, it's about 20 or 30 miles west of Douglas, or if you know where Natural Bridge is, it's the river that feeds into the Natural Bridge area. There's a small reservoir up there in a dam, and the dam is old. It's been around for quite a while, and they've been engineered. This is not a new thing. Engineers have been studying it for quite a few years, saying that, you know, it's starting to have problems. It's going to fail at some point. So if you're wondering patchwork, well, the engineers are saying probably not. Because I got a call yesterday from a gentleman who was concerned about the dam and wondered why can't we just patch it up. I think it might be beyond that. I started looking into this a little bit more this morning. I put up a story for you on the Wake Up Wyoming site if you want to go ahead and take a look at it. The story shows, and there's even a note by the governor here who signed off on the demolition of the dam. So this is, as far as I know, this is pretty much a done deal. It's just a matter of how they get this done and what they do to rebuild it, because the state's still raising money to rebuild the thing. Now, it does affect people downstream. So, for example, the dam is already not holding water. They already drained it out, is my understanding from what I was reading. And then it's just a matter of, tearing down the dam. Again, my hope is, in fact, what I would prefer, just get a Wyoming National Guard in there and just let them fire a bunch of missiles at it or something like that. Do something really cool to demolish the thing. Meantime, though, there are farmers downstream who rely on the water. We even have a water deal with Nebraska, and that's part of the deal. We don't want to renege on our deal as far as what water, because the western states all have water agreements with each other to make sure that we all have water. So that's part of a deal that we made a while ago with Nebraska dealing with water. So we have to settle that. So there's a lot that needs to be done money-wise. There's the cost of demolition, but then, we need they say about $118 million. I'm just going to say it's going to be more than that. Whenever they give us an estimate like that, I always think of it as a conservative estimate. They're going to need a lot more than that. So far, the state has set aside about $30 million. Another $32 million will come from federal government, something the Biden administration set aside for infrastructure. Then they're going to need more past that, probably from the feds, to get us up to $118 million, so we can go ahead and do the dam. Now, of course, I always wonder, as tightwad as I am, we should have that money within the state of Wyoming, especially because I know money is set aside in our rainy day fund and things like this, but we literally, in the state of Wyoming, have billions set aside. And so if we need to replace a dam at $118 million, I think we have it. It's just a matter of how money is set aside. And some would say, well, no, we can't. We set that aside for a rainy day fund, yada, yada. We'll figure it out because we definitely have the money to do it on our own. Whatever the case is, for those who were calling yesterday and asking, and I understand the concerns, why can't we just keep the dam? Why can't we just repair the dam? So I thought this morning I would do, you were still sleeping, I get here and I start doing a little bit more digging, and there's the state has done all sorts of research with engineers on the dam over a period of time. Again, this is not a new thing. And their assessment over several years of watching and working with this dam is it has reached the end of its life. The thing's over 100 years old. I mean, Yeah, it is my understanding, over 100 years old. It's been around for a while, and it just has reached the end. So as far as, well, we'll just go ahead and patch it and repair it and keep it going. And this is the case I find was, when I first heard about this, was a little surprising to me, but then I thought about it more and thought, shouldn't be surprising. Any dam that's constructed has a lifespan. If you're wondering, well, what about the Hoover Dam? Well, that too. Now, some dams have a longer lifespan than other dams, but every dam has a lifespan to it. There's only so long it can stand there holding back that kind of pressure, whatever the pressure is, before eventually they say, okay, it can't take the stress anymore. We're going to have to replace it with a new one. And that's what's happening here. So I have an article up on the Wake Up Wyoming site with a couple of links I hope that will help you out with the idea. But this is one of those, as I read into it, it seems to me like it's already a done deal. It's just a matter of when we get to it and how fast can they go ahead and rebuild it. They say they would have a new dam up by 2029. And again, what do we do with people affected downstream? Because there are those downstream who not just they depend on the water from the dam, but also they worry about if we have some kind of a raging flood through that gap. It's been that dam that has protected us against any kind of an overflow for the people who live downstream. That includes, if you're familiar with the Natural Bridge area, which is just to the northwest area of Douglas, which I've been to many times. If you haven't been there, it's just, Natural Bridge is stunningly beautiful, worth going to. Some people worry about that too. Regardless, it looks like the work on the dam has to happen, is my understanding as I read into it. Coming up on 7:30, local news coming away after local news update on the weather forecast, and you and I get back into it again. Phone lines are open, by the way, 888-97-WOODS. That's 888-97-WOODS. You can talk about what I'm talking about. Hold that thought on changing the subject until possibly we get into the 8 o'clock hour. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
This show contains sarcasm that some listeners may find disturbing. A sense of humor is advised. Chat with Glenn live on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
7:36 the time, Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Thursday, so 888-97-WOODS the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. The gun issue at the University of Wyoming, to me, has been very interesting the entire time we've had the issue. And I'll back up to, we had passed legislation in Wyoming reinforcing the Second Amendment. And not just gun rights on the federal level, but on the state level, too. And we were supposed to have gotten rid of gun-free zones, realizing a long time ago that if you want to keep a place safe, making it a gun-free zone is about the dumbest thing you can do. Because that means only someone who intends to do harm will walk in with a gun because they don't care about your law. Anybody who needs to defend themselves against the bad guy won't be able to because they were told no guns. All right, well, University of Wyoming decided that they were just going to make their own rules. And that became a point in contention until eventually the state legislative body said, no, you can't do that. So here we are now where UW is supposed to be a gun-free zone. If you, and right now they're talking about licensed concealed carry in there. All right, so they're having meetings about it. How do they proceed here? Because they really don't, many at UW don't want to make it a, let's say, not a gun-free zone. So this is where they're having discussions about it. Here's the latest. Now, I got to be careful with this story because it's from Wyoming Public Media. It says, well, I say that because there's always, usually I should say, a bias in their stories. But here's what it says. Campus leaders are weighing a rule change that would allow concealed carry firearms, University of Wyoming buildings. Guns are currently allowed on campus grounds, but most people are forbidden to carry them in the university facilities. The new proposal is unpopular with both students and employees who are worried about what the change could mean for campus safety. Now, let me be careful about how they worded that there. It's unpopular with some, not with everybody. Because there's other people who are totally in favor of this, just so you know. A recent campus-wide survey with distinct opinions. 64% of all respondents wanted the current weapons ban to stay in place. See, this is where, remember I've always told you, I have a lot of suspicion when it comes to polls. And if you're wondering what kind of an example I can cite, how about this last election? What all the polls were saying compared to what happened. Okay, so they continue on with their poll. That includes a majority of faculty, and I can understand that a majority of faculty and staff would not want guns because they're more leftist liberal. And students, 55%, half of those weren't part of the campus community, but self-identified as Wyoming residents. Students, 55%, said they don't want guns on campus. Now, again, that's what the polls show. The only thing that I can believe is the majority of the professors and staff, who tend to be left-leaning, wouldn't want guns on campus. But as far as everybody else, my answer is I don't know what the majority of people want because it's a poll. And again, I point to our last election as to why polls just are nonsense. I wish they were better. I really wish they were better, but we don't really know how to do good polls. So, furthermore, it doesn't matter what the majority thinks. We are not run by the majority. This country is not a majority rules. We're a republic. That's different. Okay? So if you have a right as a living, breathing person in a free country, and you have a God-given right, like your right to freedom of speech, freedom of travel, et cetera, other people's opinion of that doesn't matter. That's what a republic is. You're a free person. Despite the clear opposition on campus, this is what I mean by you got to watch because it's a Wyoming public media story. Despite the clear opposition on campus, so they say, UW has been weighing the change since the last state legislative session, which lawmakers passed a bill outlawing gun-free zones. Governor Mark Gordon vetoed that bill, but dissenting entities like University of Wyoming, they went ahead and reevaluated the ban on firearms. UW Board of Trustees is expected to vote on the issue later this week. Ahead of that vote, university leaders have released a draft rule change and are hosting public events for this. But you see what I mean by, and I can go on to the story a little bit more, but you get what I mean, though, when I say, when you read a story from Wyoming Public Media, you always got to stop, be careful, because there is bias inserted into the story, which I saw right there. They do a poll. Polls are garbage. And based on the poll, despite what the majority of people think, we don't know this what the majority of people think, and it doesn't matter what the majority of people think because we're a republic. So we'll see what UW does with this as far as how they set up the rules as far as to me, it looks so far like it's going to be concealed carry with permit in order to be able to carry inside various buildings. That's what I think they're going, pun intended, shooting for right now. 742, Wake Up Wyoming.
News and weather together at the top and bottom of every hour. This is Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
It's the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk to Don Day from Day Weather. Don, when does the wind machine get turned down?
June.
Okay, that's a good answer there. All right. I mean, it's not horrible, but it is still on the annoying side.
Yeah, and we're just into the annoying wind season. I mean, the days where you don't have a lot of wind between now and the end of spring, you just don't have a lot of them. And I'm sorry to say, we're just into the wind season. And oh my gosh, the list of complaints about the wind I've gotten over the last couple of days, I've gotten immune to it. Yeah. I'm kind of like, well, what do you want me to do?
You could say, hey, welcome to Wyoming. If you don't like it, let the wind blow you that way. So, okay, the next thing is we're heading, the weekend's in sight. I mean, we're looking at it. And most of it doesn't seem too bad.
Well, at least through Saturday. We're going to start to see the weather change on Sunday. The one part of the state on Saturday that will have a little bit of weather will be the far west. Some of that moisture from that huge storm off the Pacific coast will get some snow showers into the far western parts of Wyoming. But the rest of the state today, tomorrow, and Saturday is going to have some pretty nice weather. Yes, we'll have some wind, but temperatures aren't going to be bad at all for this time of year. In fact, a lot of areas will be 50s and lower 60s, but we'll start to see some colder air creep in, especially in the north on Sunday. The temperatures up around Sheridan, Gillette, and Buffalo and Cody will start to fall. And then a little bit of moisture could be producing a little bit of snow late Sunday into Monday across the south. So the Saturday timeframe looks good. Sunday, we start to see some changes.
Okay. Now, you get into Sunday next week. Again, people are still looking toward Thanksgiving here. I know it's still too early, but I know you're also eyeing Thanksgiving travel.
Yeah, what we have to deal with is, even though that big Pacific storm has reached its peak strength, it's still a very large, cold, moist area of low pressure that's going to come back through the west in pieces. And, one of these little pieces is what comes through Sunday into Monday, but a bigger piece is going to want to come in late Tuesday into Wednesday and may bleed over into early Thursday. And then a larger chunk is going to come in out of Northwest Canada later in the weekend. So what we have is upstream some weather coming next week that I do think is going to pose some travel hazards. Now, when we get a little closer, we can kind of fine tune things a little bit. But if you have plans on traveling next week, whether it's on in a car or an airplane, you're going to want to pay close attention to the weather, because I think we're going to have more weather this Thanksgiving period across the U.S. than we've seen in a while.
Okay. By the way, Mandy May, who's up in Casper, says, real Wyoming people don't complain about the wind. I beg to differ. I think they complain a lot. Just ask Don. All right. Thank you, Don. All right. Well, look, I hear people complain about the weather all the time. Most of them are from Wyoming. So off we go to the ice box. Frank Gambino is waiting by. As you know, Frank, I hate puns.
You do, huh?
Yes, yeah. Okay.
I hate memes.
Yeah, no, I love memes, but I hate puns.
And I love puns.
Yes. Oh, my God. Okay, well, here's some for you. Okay. My landlord wants to talk about my heating bill. I told him my door is always open.
Maybe I don't like puns.
Okay. Fruit farmers eat what they can and can what they can't. Can what they can't.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Taking steps to overcome hiking addiction. Not out of the woods yet.
No.
See, okay. No. I bought a fake, was it koi fish? Yeah, I bought a fake koi fish. It's my decoy. Okay. No, these are just horrible. Great hide-and-seek players are really hard to find. Okay, get it?
Of course they are.
See?
This is the kind of stuff that increases your IQ daily.
No, it doesn't.
No?
It makes me dumber every time I read one. And I'll keep reading them. Laughing out loud is forbidden in Hawaii because it's a aloha state. Aloha state. Okay. When you dream in color, it's a pigment of your imagination.
That's very true.
Yeah. Now, so a lot of times these puns are true, but I still want to go up to the person who wrote the pun and just slap them. Is that bad?
No. Give them a nickel or something.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. This might be good. Okay. Probably not. A man in boxers leads police in brief chase. See, you laughed at that one.
That's you know what? It was probably true.
Oh, wait. Now, okay. This one, Frank, I actually like, and I hate puns.
I know.
But I actually like this one.
Okay.
I got booted from the coffee club because I wore a T-shirt.
I got booted from the
coffee club because I wore a T.
Sure.
Oh, he gets it now.
Okay. I'm on it. All right, in junior college volleyball, that national tournament is underway in Clarksville, Tennessee. Eastern Wyoming from Torrington is the Region 9 champion this year, and the Lancers lost to the number 1 rated team in the country, Southwestern Florida, in the first round yesterday afternoon in 3 straight, 25-16, 25-13, and 25-17. EWC will play Weatherford, Texas later on today in a loser-out match. Eastern's received a solid year from Cheyenne East grad Bowden Lillydahl as a libero and who has has over 700 digs this season. Wyoming Cowgirl volleyball team will host Utah State tonight in Nevada on Saturday in Laramie. The Cowgirls are coming off a 5-set loss to Fresno State, so they're 14-11 overall, 6-10 in Mountain West play. Top 6 teams will advance to the Mountain West Tournament in Las Vegas, and at 6-10, UW is 7th, 2 games out from the 6th and final spot. Wyoming Cowboy basketball team will be at home tomorrow night hosting Southeastern Louisiana. The Cowboys are 3-1 after a win over Utah Tech their last time out. Southeastern is 2-2 after a 3-point win over Louisiana Monroe. That's a 6:30 start from the AA in Laramie tomorrow. And the Wyoming Cowgirl basketball team also in Laramie on Friday morning to take on Colorado Christian. UW lost to Gonzaga on Sunday in Spokane. They also have absorbed losses to Colorado and BYU, so they're 1-3 on the young season. That's an 11 a.m. tip-off tomorrow morning at the AA. Wyoming Cowboy basketball team Cowboy football team, meets Boise State on Saturday night in Laramie. It's a battle of one of the best teams in the country in Boise State and one of the worst teams in country in Wyoming. Folks are 2-8 after a listless performance against Colorado State in Fort Collins, losing that one 24-10. Boise State at 9-1 rallied from 14 points down to beat San Jose State 48-21 as Bronco running back Ashton Genty had 159 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, and he is in the running for the Heisman Trophy. UW 22.5-point underdogs, and that says it all. Game time at 5 p.m. on Saturday in Laramie. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. That's it in sports.
Oh, God, now people are sending me puns.
Well,
We'll go down to Cheyenne, Fire Pit Paul. I spotted an albino Dalmatian the other day. It was the least thing. It was the least thing I could do.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either, Paul. You'll have to explain that one to me. Lee in KC, breaking news: man with 5 willies says his underpants fits like a glove. Now, see that I get.
Yeah,
and that's funny. Thank you, Lee, up there in KC.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. Paul, explain that one and send it to me again, please.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll see if I can read that again. I spotted an albino Dalmatian, which means he's all white, the other day. It was the least I could do. Oh, wait a second. I get it. I'll have to explain it to Frank. He took an albino Dalmatian, which is all white, and he spotted him. He put spots on him. Oh, God. Now I got to go explain it to Frank. Thanks a lot, Paul. Let's Wake Up Wyoming. 8:06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Thursday, and I swear I can see the weekend from here.
Today's show is sponsored by Velcro shoelaces. Work like shoelaces, attach like Velcro, one product and twice the hassle.
Yeah, I did have those. I did one time get the shoes when they have Velcro, and I thought, oh, great idea. And then I realized it doesn't matter. Besides, they went away as a product anyway. But no, when I buy a pair of shoes, I tie them once. And I have seen commercials for shoes these days. Buy these. They're slip-ons. You can just slip them on. And I'm thinking, yeah, but I'm wearing sneakers today like I usually do. I tied them once when I bought them. After that, they just became slip-ons. Okay, open phones.
Warning. Wake Up Wyoming is about to enter daily open phones. This means that anyone will be allowed to call in and talk about anything. I mean, imagine if we actually allowed you on air to say anything you wanted. Scary, right? Well, we're just that brand of crazy. If you are offended by what other people think, then maybe you want to tune out right about now. Just saying. If you should choose to call, just remember, the more funny and interesting you are, the longer Glenn will keep you on the line. Obnoxious jerks will be hung up on. Dave, all right, strap in. and let's do this thing.
888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Talk about what I'm talking about. Change the subject, fine by me. I'm going to play it again, partly because I'm enjoying it, also because people have been asking me, when you do get the new one of the social justice warrior, the new episode ready, play it when I'm listening so I can hear it. So I will throughout the morning. This is the latest in the social justice warrior now that Trump has been elected. He's been hiding out for a while.
Time now for another thrilling episode of Social Justice Warrior. Our warrior was so convinced that Harris was going to win. He really hasn't been doing anything in a while. But now that Trump, the evil orange meanie, has won basically everything, our social justice warrior, fearless as he is, has been afraid to leave his apartment. A translation, hiding in his mother's cellar with his sidekick, Alfred.
Oh, the world is a much safer place now that we have Harris and Waltz in the White House.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Finally, we have defeated those evil Nazi conservatives. The entire world is now a safe space.
Wow. Talk about delusional denial. You know, almost everyone voted for Trump, even your mother.
Where's my rainbow coloring book?
Man up, sissy boy.
Ew, you hit like a girl.
Don't misgender me. Now more than ever does the world need a social justice warrior against the evil of the orange meanie. Now prance over there in your little rainbow tights and mask and defend until the end.
Oh, Alfred, you're right. The world needs me now more than ever. Hand me my tights.
You still don't have the butt to wear those.
Do you really think I can beat him?
Hell no. But posting videos of you getting your ass kicked on TikTok always gets me like a bazillion views.
Will our hero... heck, what am I even trying to say? No, he won't. Whatever it is he plans to do, and trust me, he does not have a plan.
Did Mom really vote for Trump?
Yeah. She had a sign out in front and everything.
Really? How come I never saw it?
Probably because you never go outside.
Latest episode of Social Justice Warrior. Now, the next episode, I figure he's going to get all excited because very ultra-liberal women said that they're not going to be dating or having sex with conservative men anymore, or men at all. In which case, our social justice warrior is going to think he finally has an opening. But of course, not a chance in hell. Anyway.
So put on your respirator and let's fix that generator. And while we're out, we'll mend our fences too. See, I'm not afraid of dying, just got reasons for surviving. I want one more day in the apocalypse with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, time to check up a little bit on some climate change news. Let's see. About 4,000. Okay, this is good. I'm really enjoying this. A lot of folks who were all excited about getting into electric vehicles, which is not many, are really disappointed now because they know when the Trump administration steps in, subsidies and tax breaks gone, which is what Trump said he's going to do, and I hope that's what happens in short order. But even without that, as you know, the market never really took off and is continuing to collapse. Here's the latest. The story says Democrats have not come through for them, those people who are hoping to continue to get subsidies to make electric cars. The job slashing at Stellantis is, I guess, I've never heard of them, but they make electric vehicles. Well, it's a parent of Dodge and Jeep. Started up in August. Well, Michigan union members blame Biden electric vehicle mandates for the auto industry layoffs. They want to slit our throats. The auto industry, the story says, is big business in Michigan, you think? And major round of layoffs is revving the election into high gear. Industry, I never thought about that. Those people in the auto industry, especially the unions, would have voted heavily for Trump because they're losing their jobs under Biden. They blame the Biden-Harris administration for heavy-handed electric vehicle mandates, which has been very painful for losses in their industry. So Stellantis is, I think I pronounce it, which manufactures Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge vehicles, announced last month it will lay off some 2,450 workers and its Warren plant will close. While the industry jobs in the state have been declining since 1990, Michigan auto workers explained to the Post why Team Biden's green energy rules are at fault. Following the disturbing trend of recent worker layoffs, the story says, auto giants such as them notified Toledo workers of a local Union 12 that they will be indefinitely laid off. These layoffs at the Toledo assembly plant, where they produce Jeep Wrangler 4xe, and the Gladiator, are coming after cutting jobs at Warren Truck in southeast Michigan. Additionally, workers at the Freud Street Parts Sequencing Facility in Detroit, Indiana Transmission and Detroit Assembly Complex also are facing indefinite layoffs. The Jeep Gladiator jumped into the midsize fray in 2019 as a versatile entry. I know I've seen some of you folks around here driving those, but even then, there's been some layoffs there in the past few years. And so a lot of this has to do also with tax credits, but also the Biden administration pushing toward electric vehicles has caused a lot of these companies to sort of rethink how they make automobiles in trying to open up battery factories, electric vehicle factories, and so on. And it really has hurt the rest of the industry, causing these layoffs. And you think, well, they'll just make electric vehicles. Yeah, but electric vehicle sales have not taken off. On that note, let's see. In destructive environment, can we survive? Peer-reviewed study. Okay, I've got some more stories here about, here we go. Climate activists shocked Trump's EV mandate message may have helped him win Michigan. Now, this goes with the story that I just read to you. In the race that would result in former President Donald Trump's reelection, Michigan voters were bombarded with two competing and often contradictory messages. In the one corner, a transition to electric vehicles galvanized by federal aid would lead the American automotive industry into a new golden era, they were told. On the other, electric vehicles would be the death sentence to the U.S. car maker as China has taken over that share of the market. I mean, big time. Because of all the rules, regulations, et cetera, here in America, the big leader in EV became China. Thank you, Biden administration. In the nearly 50 visits to the Great Salt Lake State this year alone, the Great Lake State, Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, Democrat nominee, hammered Michiganders about their opposing visions for the nation. And in the end, Trump won nearly 80,000 votes over Harris. And according to those people who are in the industry, in Michigan, automotive industry, they're saying, well, a lot of it had to do with the electric vehicle mandates and how it's killing the industry for the rest of Michigan. So thank you, Biden-Harris, for, costing us thousands of jobs. Think about it. For Michigan, anyway, electric vehicle mandates and subsidies and tax breaks led to Harris losing Michigan.
Let me tell you folks about global warming, especially you young folks out there. Don't worry about it. And I'll tell you why. Just trust me on this. For as long as I have been alive, it's been hot in the summer. Now this right here is almost unbelievable. Some summers have been hotter than others.
Now, Glenn Woods fits in your pocket with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
8:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Phone number to get involved, 888-97-WOODS. It's 888-97-WOODS. Or you can go ahead and text me using the Wake Up Wyoming app. Just hit the chat button and off you go. Okay, so you ranchers out there, I hope you have been doing your bit when it comes to cow flatulence.
Okay, so it's 3708, paper or plastic?
Plastic. That's the magic word. What? Green police. You picked the wrong day to mess with the ecosystem, plastic boy.
Battery! Let's go, take the house, come on! Put the rind down! Sir, that's a composting bird shit!
Did you install these bulbs?
No. Tragedy strikes tonight where a man has just been arrested for possession of an incandescent light bulb.
What do you guys think about plastic bottles now?
The water setting is at 105. Yeah.
You got a TDI here? Clean diesel.
You're good to go, sir.
Good afternoon, officers. Are those foam cups you're drinking from?
Yeah.
Please step out of the car and put them on the hood.
Yeah, okay, so just before I get into what the story about cow flatulence is, which I know you love it when I bring up a good cow flatulence story. Have you seen the recent Jaguar commercial? Boy, is it getting ripped to shreds, and I hope Jaguar pulls it really fast. So what you have is a bunch of, I guess if you want to call them transsexual, whatever, guys dressed to the hilts, as you can imagine, and makeup and all of that, high heels. And then there's a bunch of music as they walk around doing things that don't have anything to do with cars. They pose in different ways. There's music. They're in odd places. And at the end, the logo comes up, Jaguar. And you watch it and I wonder, the hell did that have to do with an automobile? So, okay, they're catching a lot of flack on that. If you're going to do an automobile commercial, it might be a good idea to, show a car. So when I played the Green Police commercial there, that one was actually used as a car commercial for Volkswagen diesel. They wanted to sell that as a clean car, a clean diesel, is what they said. So that's what the whole point of that Green Police commercial. All right. World's first agricultural emissions tax includes livestock flatulence. So, guys, what you're supposed to do is go out and count how many, I guess this is the only way. Go take a look at your cattle out there. How often does the average cow fart? And belch? Because it comes out of both ends, And that creates how much emissions per day. All right, you have how many cows? Add that up. That's your tax. Denmark is introducing the world's first flatulence and belch tax aimed at agricultural emissions such as cow flatulence that comes as part of an agreement finalized November 18th between Danish government and farmers and groups of environmentalists. The new tax looks to address the farming sector, which is the country's, they say, largest contributor to carbon pollution and methane. Starting in 2030, Danish farmers will be required to pay approximately $43 for every ton of carbon dioxide equivalent to their operations that they emit. This fee is set to increase to around $106 per ton by 2035. This will put the Danish dairy and cattle farmer out of business, by the way, in the long term, which is what they're trying to do. But all right, they're just going to get this stuff. They're going to get meat and they're going to get dairy from somewhere else. That's all this does. It puts the Danish guy out of business. Everybody just gets their meat and dairy from somewhere else. So it doesn't solve what they see as a problem. Okay, so here's what they say. The average farm in Denmark emits about 5.6 tons of carbon dioxide annually. About half of those emissions stem from methane released by livestock through burps and manure and flatulence. So officials estimate that in the first year, the new tax could reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 1.8 million tons by basically getting these people to have less cattle. That's what their estimate is. That's a reduction comparable to the annual emissions of a small city, they claim. In addition to the emission tax, Danish officials are also targeting the agricultural sector's reliance on chemical fertilizers because in Denmark, they want to put farmers and ranchers out of business. I don't know what they plan to do for food. I have no idea. Good luck, Denmark. Micah is in Cheyenne. Hello, Micah.
Hello.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that quite a few people showed up Monday night at the Cheyenne City Council Finance Committee meeting.
Okay.
About the proposed paid parking for downtown Cheyenne.
Right.
And not one person in the audience was in favor of it. You had business people, you had landlords, you had just regular residents. And nobody was in favor of the prepaid parking. One lady did indicate that maybe she didn't have enough information, but for now she's more against it unless somebody could convince her otherwise.
Okay.
And yet, Councilman White brought up the fact that during his 9 years of being a councilman, he has heard numerous people complain about prepaid parking. Well, you can go throughout Cheyenne and you've got numerous people who complain about numerous things. And I thought, he's missing the point. If it were really that important to those people, why weren't any of them at the meeting?
Okay.
So now it goes to the whole city council people this Monday night. So I'm hoping just as many people show up and talk against it. Yeah. And, and again, if an overwhelming majority of the public is saying they don't want it, it's going to be really disappointing if they go ahead and approve it, because there were so many reasons and so many solutions that people were offering.
All right.
And
got to run to news time over there. Thank you, Micah, for calling. I appreciate it. Let us know what happens at the next meeting. Coming up on some local business we have to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. And your weather forecast. Some more open phones. Wake up, Wyoming.
Temperatures. Local and mobile across Wyoming and beyond with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
8:36 at the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. So I got several different kinds of stories for you in this round. But you can interrupt me, change the subject if you want, like Micah from Cheyenne did a few minutes ago. It is open phones, 888-97-WOODS. That's 888-97-WOODS. So, first off, just a side note, if you're up around the Sheridan area and you see smoke coming out of the bighorns, don't worry if you're looking at I thought they were done with that. Smoke is possible because they're doing some intentional burns up in the bighorns. The story says, according to a news release, Buffalo field office plans to burn and slash piles of fall and winter just all sorts of debris up there. Approximately 83 acres of hand piles, a result of fuel reduction to cut big swaths up there. So when the fire that is still burning, there's not much left of it, gets to those areas, there's nothing left for it to burn. So these are big control burns. That's the smoke that you see up there. All right, now, I grew up just loving comics. I mean, just absolutely loving comic books. And as I got older, comic books got more sophisticated. Now, there's a reason why. There was a time before I was born, comic books were very dark. And then Congress got involved, of course, because, what is it that you're giving to kids? It's such dark stuff. So they made this comic book code thing, which was actually voluntary. And that's why your Batman comic books got really goofy and silly and so on. And if you remember the Super Friends growing up. But then they started going dark again, which is fine, because they're dealing with some really serious issues, and there's wars, and, So I enjoyed reading good comics, and the artwork has gotten phenomenally good over the years. But, of course, many comic books wanted to go woke. The good news, though, is The comic book industry finds out, like a lot of other industries, if you try to go woke with certain things, you go broke. Hollywood has found this out. Many industries. In fact, Bud Light found that out. And Jaguar is about to find it out. Bud Light found it out. Remember I was saying that when Bud Light did the whole ad campaign with this transgendered influencer, just sell beer. Don't get involved in any issues, any, from any point of view. You're a beer manufacturer. Sell beer. Stay out of all of the virtue signaling nonsense. Just have a commercial where there's a bunch of people having a good time, and then show them that they can have a better time with Bud Light. See, that's how you do this. You just sell beer. So I've got a story here I'll get to in just a moment. It shows different comic books, and one in particular was the Superman comic books, where they tried to go very woke with it, but sales just plummeted. But hang on, because as I said, it's open phones, and when it is open phones, you can call, interrupt, change the subject, fine by me. Head over to the Mills, Wyoming, where Judy's waiting by. Hey, Jude.
Hey, good morning. I was just going to tell Micah, from speaking from experience, you can fill the room with 300 people, and they're going to do what they're going to do. They don't give a rat's behind about the people that they supposedly work for. Now, let's go on to the solar farm. I was looking around, and I found it's called the General Use Standards. They have no impacts on the neighbors, a study, or anything like that. They don't benefit any of us because the power goes out of state. They have no water from the DEQ saying that what they're going to do when they pound those stakes into the ground and the selenium starts going everywhere. So I'm going to call her today. They don't have a discharge water plan, and they say they're going to haul the water in, but they don't say where they're going to haul it in from. That's just a few of the problems that we found. There's over 100 of them. And yet planning and zoning passed it by using the keyword that, let's see, how is it put in their book? General use, okay? This is ranching, agriculture, or mining. It doesn't say anything about solar in the 2000 zoning book. It never did. The 2022, even in their own thing that they gave to the county, their application, they have so many spelling mistakes. They have wind where solar is supposed to be. I mean, the whole thing is shoddy. And if the commissioners approve this, I can guarantee you that none of them will be returning to office next round because the room was full. The room's always full when it comes to this. They did it down in Glen Rock. They got one passed in Barnett. Wait till women start coming up with breast cancer. Who do they sue? You know, because that's what this stuff causes. This is like detrimental to the health of people. And the landfill right now has only got, they don't have any solar panels. One good hailstorm out there, and they're going to have 293,000. So when they're asking for these bond monies, they're asking for like 1/10 of what it would cost now to decommission it 30 years from now or 20 years from now. How much is it going to cost them? We don't know. So why aren't they putting a bond on there of like $15 million or $20 million? Because that's what it's going to cost to get rid of them. Because the landfill can't take more than 2 without classifying it as a hazardous material with the components that are inside of them. That's just part of it. But anyway, I wanted to tell Micah, the only way you're going to get things changed down there is you got to change out the players. You got to change all of them. You can't just keep 1 or 2 because they end up being corrupt as well. It never stops. The only way to get them to pay attention to you is picket their ass. You know, that's not all I can do. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do, is talk about them on Facebook and talk about them on Getter and Twitter and all of them. And I show what these guys are. You know, most of them are just awful human beings when it comes to caring about what happens to their so-called constituents. But anyway,
all right.
That's my Monday. I was all mad all week. I couldn't call because you had to dump button me all day long.
Yeah. What's nice is we're going to get more snow out there, and you'll be able to just face plant yourself and cool off.
Well, yeah. You know, and the weird thing is that area was classified as sagebrush.
Yeah.
Until a gentleman broke up his property and back and put it into, little sections of land. Well, now he can't sell the land with a solar farm coming in. He's not too darn happy either.
Right.
And, they even tried to bribe one of the landowners. Can you believe that?
Here's what I want to know, and I don't know the answer to this. I'll have to run an experiment. When I told you before that area over by GoldenEye is a practice area. A lot of student pilots, but also long-time veteran pilots fly out there as a practice area to practice different maneuvers and emergency procedures. That's been going on for decades. So as someone who does that, if there's a bunch of solar panels below me reflecting up, will I be able to do that there, or am I going to have to go somewhere else?
You're probably going to have to go somewhere else because they don't really care.
Right.
They don't have anything in the plan about that either. They don't They don't have a lot in that plan, over 100 items. And we're going to go to the December 3rd meeting again and show up in force. And they'll say, oh, well, we got to follow the county rules, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Why don't they have a conditional use permit on it? They made me get one.
Okay. Yep, they should. All right. I got to run.
Because there's no oversight. Without a conditional use permit, there's no oversight. Nobody has to go out there and check and see what they're doing, if what they're doing is good or bad or whatever. They don't even have what the water is makeup up out there yet. And they're going to pass it? Yeah. What kind of idiots do we elect in this state, All
right. Glad you got it out of your system, Judy.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. See, this, as I've said before, the show is therapy. You call in, you vent, you feel better. Now Judy is safe to be around if you bump into her at the grocery store. 845, Wake Up Wyoming.
So many have built the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app to hold them all. Free download from AM 1030 K2 Radio.
8:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox to talk to Frank Gambino. Frank, I just came across an evil plan, and I approve of it. I might have to do this. It starts off by saying here, got no kids? So you're at home alone, right? You don't have any kids?
No, I don't have any. I have one who doesn't live with me, yeah.
Right, okay. So hire a babysitter anyway.
For what?
Then say your kid is asleep in the bedroom and must not be disturbed. Then go out for a few hours. Then come back and ask how the kid is.
And they'll never check on the kid because...
Exactly, yeah.
This is way too much energy to go out and have a good time.
And it's going to cost you money, too, in order to do
just say,
this.
I'm out of here.
Yes, yeah. What you could do is also come back and go, what happened to my kid? He's gone. He's out in the bedroom. But you don't want to do that. That's going to send someone into a panic there.
Yeah.
But someone is actually, what gets me is whoever posted this on social media.
They've done it. They've done it.
You think they've done it? You think they've actually done this?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. And how much money does it cost to pull this prank?
Well, whatever the cost of babysitting an hour is, it's not $2 an hour anymore.
Okay, but then do you...
More like $20 an hour.
Yes, then do you turn to them afterwards and say, funny thing, we don't actually have a kid, so you were just sitting around here being really quiet, because the whole time the babysitter is in the house.
Yeah.
The babysitter is being really quiet.
And that babysitter will go, you know what? You're going to give me $40 to sit on your couch.
Yes, exactly right, yeah.
And watch your cable.
But basically, yeah. But they don't know because they think...
eat your stuff in the refrigerator.
They think they're being really quiet because there's a kid asleep. Now, how many babysitters do you think would actually go look in the bedroom to see how the kid's doing?
Boy, I hope they would go once.
And then panic because there's nobody in the bedroom.
Well, no, and then they call the police and there's a missing kid. See,
now we have a whole problem here.
Yeah, this is a terrible idea.
This is where the idea falls apart because, were I the babysitter, I would go check on the kid to make sure the kid's okay. And when there was no kid, I would panic.
Yeah.
And like you said, then I would go ahead and call the police. Now we have a problem. Okay. So this whole plan just fell apart.
Yeah. Okay, then. JUCO volleyball, the national tournament underway in Clarksville, Tennessee at Austin Peay University. And Eastern Wyoming from Torrington is the Region 9 champion this year. The Lancers did lose to the number 1 rated team in the country, Southwest Florida, yesterday in the first round in 3 straight games, 25-16, 25-13, and 25-17. EWC will play Weatherford, Texas later on today in a loser-out match. Eastern has received a solid year from Cheyenne East grad Bowden Lillydahl as a libero, and she has had well over over 700 digs this season. Wyoming Cowgirl volleyball team will host Utah State tonight and Nevada on Saturday. The Cowgirls are coming off a 5-set loss to Fresno State their last time out, so they're 14-11 overall, 6-10 in Mountain West play. The top 6 teams will advance to the Mountain West tournament in Las Vegas, and at 6-10, UW is 7th, 2 games out of the 6th and final spot. Wyoming Cowboy basketball team with a home game tomorrow night hosting Southeastern Louisiana at the Arena Auditorium. Cowboys are 3-1 after a win over Utah Tech their last time out. Southeastern is 2-2 after a 3-point win over Louisiana Monroe. 6:30 start tomorrow from the AA in Laramie. And the Wyoming Cowgirl basketball team also playing tomorrow and in the morning in Laramie, taking on Colorado Christian. UW lost to Gonzaga on Sunday in Spokane and absorbed losses to Colorado and BYU so far this year. They're 1-3. Game starts at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning at the AA. Wyoming Cowboy football team meeting Boise State on Saturday night in Laramie. It's a battle of one of the best teams in the country in Boise State and one of the worst teams in the country in Wyoming. Cowboys are 2-8 after a listless performance against CSU in Fort Collins back on Friday, losing that one 24-10. Boise State is 9-1, rallying from 14 points down to beat San Jose State 48-21. Bronco running back Ashton Genty with 159 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, and he certainly is in the running for the Heisman Trophy. UW a 22.5-point underdog, and that says it all. Game time at 5 p.m. on Saturday in Laramie. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. That's it in sports.
Okay. So, your plans this weekend?
It's a rarity because we're in a break in between the high school seasons.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird.
Frank doesn't have anything to do. See, my thing is, tomorrow's show has to be a repeat. And the reason why is they have me doing the Birds and Bucks thing. But tonight I have to do Thankful Thursday. So I have to go down to Cheyenne and then get back up here to do Birds and Bucks, which does not give me time to do this show.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, just so you know.
Okay.
You're
thanks for telling me, because I probably would have got here early going,
where the hell is everybody? Yeah, okay. Now, that means you have a whole weekend. Starting Friday, I know you have other things to do, but then the whole weekend, you have no plans, Frank?
As far as I know.
Wow. That is frightening. You don't have to put up your Christmas tree. It's
been up all year.
You
know what? I have to dust it, though. It's like a piece of furniture.
You never dust that thing. Don't give me that you dust that thing.
Well, you go like...
You have never done that to your Christmas tree. I don't believe
I've dusted yes. Dust gets on especially on the tops of the ornaments.
Yes, okay.
It's not like, snow.
Show of hands, people out there who think Frank has ever dusted his Christmas tree. I don't see a single hand, Frank. All right, coming up on some local business we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time and open phones next hour of the program. Wake Up Wyoming.
Temp.
Six the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Thursday, and I swear to you, I can see the weekend from here.
Today's show is sponsored by Velcro shoelaces. Work like shoelaces, attach like Velcro, one product and twice the hassle.
That was actually a thing for a while. It just never really caught on. I bought a pair. I wore them for a while. I went back to laces, which I never tie, except for the first time I buy the shoe. I just say, too much information.
This show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
One more time, then I won't play it for a while, I promise, because I've been playing it every hour all morning long. latest episode of Social Justice Warrior now that Trump has been elected.
Time now for another thrilling episode of Social Justice Warrior. Our warrior was so convinced that Harris was going to win. He really hasn't been doing anything in a while. But now that Trump, the evil orange meanie, has won basically everything, our social justice warrior, fearless as he is, has been afraid to leave his apartment. A translation, hiding in his mother's cellar with his sidekick, Alfred.
Oh, the world is a much safer place now that we have Harris at Waltz in the White House.
Wait. What are you talking about?
Finally, we have defeated those evil Nazi conservatives. The entire world is now a safe space.
Wow. Talk about delusional denial. You know, almost everyone voted for Trump. Even your mother.
Where's my rainbow coloring book?
Man up, sissy boy.
Ew, you hit like a girl.
Don't misgender me. Now more than ever does the world need a social justice warrior against the evil of the orange meanie. Now prance over there in your little rainbow tights and mask and defend until the end.
Oh, Alfred, you're right. The world needs me now more than ever. Hand me my tights.
You still don't have the butt to wear those.
Do you really think I can beat him?
Hell no. But posting videos of you getting your ass kicked on TikTok always gets me like a bazillion views.
Will our hero? Heck, what am I even trying to say? No, he won't. Whatever it is he plans to do, and trust me, he does not have a plan.
Did Mom really vote for Trump?
Yeah. She had a sign out in front and everything.
Really? How come I never saw it?
Probably because you never go outside.
So there's the latest episode of Social Justice Warrior. More to come. Appreciate all your help. And, well, the people sent me ideas to help design the whole thing. Okay, so 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. You can talk about what I'm talking about or change the subject, fine by me. And plenty of people texted me off the Wake Up Wyoming app. Just hit the chat mode and you can send me a text message. Okay, so what I wanted to go on about for a minute was I grew up with comics. Always loved reading comics. And over the years, they got more sophisticated, much better artwork, better storylines. But then, like many other things, they went woke. And I've said about many companies, don't, like Bud Light. Just sell beer. Just make great beer and sell it. That's all you do. Don't pick sides in any argument. The moment you do, you turn people off and you lose your audience. MSNBC lost almost half of its audience after the election because they lied to them. And so now they've tried to fix it by being more center instead of extreme left-wing. And they've lost even more audience because they tried to do that. Just do the news. Just do the news. Quit picking sides and everything, and you'll do fine. So here come the comic books. DC Comics, for example. We all love Superman. So they decided to make a Superman comic where a young Superman likes boys. And it was canceled shortly after it premiered because, well, no one was interested. They want Superman. Okay? They don't want a homosexual Superman. They just want Superman. Just give us Superman. And I know they have to reimagine things. I get, because comics, one of the problems they have is they constantly have to reimagine superheroes, villains. And it gets difficult to do because these comics, these characters have been around for many, many decades. How do you constantly come up with new situations, new heroes, new villains? How do you do this? And sometimes it's a reimagining of the character. If you think about the Joker in the Batman comics, think about what the Joker originally looked like. He was wearing zoot suits. But as the years went on, the looks of the Joker changed to eventually today when you see a Joker in the movies, he looks more like some tattooed guy from the hood. But that's what a thug looks like today. That's what a bad guy looks like today. Back then, your typical criminal bad guy wore a suit. You remember the mafia. They wore suits, nice ties and hats and jackets. So that's what the Joker did. Today, your criminal element, well, that's what the Joker dresses like. Even Batman's costume has evolved over the years to be more high-tech. It wasn't very much, even the Batmobile, to keep up with technology, and that's fine. And if you want to reimagine different types of Batmans and so on, fine. But people still like the basic idea of Batman, the basic idea of the Joker. Those characters themselves haven't changed. And if you want to go back and redo some of the origin story of Superman, fine. But you can only change so much, and if you go woke with it, sales plummet. And so the comic book that tried to reimagine the sexuality of Superman died. Then they have Kal-El's Superman's brilliant one of the family, Mom. And Mom, because she was a woman, she wanted to save the planet, the Krypton. But because she was a woman in a patriarchal society, she was forbidden by the ruling class to be able to pursue the technology that would have saved the planet. Again, they're going woke with the story. That comic book would have sold for almost $6, but instead it just died. They tried to reimagine Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, instead of being an Amazon, she was cursed by the gods, raised in hell, and rides around on some kind of a demon horse. And again, the comic just flopped. But then they also tried to go very woke with the whole Wonder Woman idea. And so I'm thinking that they've got to fix this, because one thing they got right, for those who have been watching the Marvel movies over the past over a decade now, that was brilliant. The whole Infinity Gauntlet thing, that was brilliantly done. But they kept the characters true to the ones that were successful in the first place. They did update it for modern technology and a lot of modern storytelling styles. But Captain America is still Captain America. Iron Man is still Iron Man. You see what I'm doing here? Yeah. If you try to get woke with these characters, people walk away. Just, hey, Budweiser, just sell beer. Hey, Jaguar, do a car ad that actually sells cars. How about that? Now, the story I have coming up next year has to do with how even when you try to do the right thing, there are those people on the left who will damn you for it, even though you did nothing wrong in the first place. I'll explain. Hang on.
The thing that I miss the most about living in Denver is the fact that you can have a Target, a dispensary, and a strip club, and a Chick-fil-A all in the same parking lot.
I'm gonna pretend like that didn't happen, and everything will be A-okay.
Start your day the right way. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join the conversation at 888-97-WOODS.
9:21 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, 888-97-WOODS, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Talk about what I'm talking about or change the subject, fine. So I just want you to know you can't win with some people. But don't worry about it, because they don't matter anyway. But here's what I mean by that. This is a website I tell you about from time to time. If you ever want, at one hand, you'll have a great laugh. On the other hand, you'll feel really sorry for these people. It's called Everyday Feminism. And Everyday Feminism, they really overthink everything. They start with a false premise, and then they overthink it, which really makes it bad. Now, before I tell you what this is, I thought it only fair that we have a disclaimer from an actual feminist about what I'm going to say. I mean, just to be fair, here's the disclaimer. I get it. Okay. I apologize in advance. Fine. Okay. I won't talk about that. All right. God, get some duct tape for pizza. So here's the headline. How white Americans, that's most of you listening right now, how white Americans' hatred of racism actually supports racism instead of solves it. So think about I read the headline a lot without even getting into the story. I read the headline and I thought, okay, if you're a white American and you hate racism, you are actually supporting racism. Nothing upsets white Americans like being called racist. It can spark outrage, indignation, extreme defensiveness, tears, a host of emotions. as they dwell on their primal selves, says the story. Over the past 15 years of teaching about race and racism on the high school level, I have polled my students on their association of the word racist. This person should not be teaching this in school, by the way. The list is relatively consistent from year to year. Confederate flag, KKK, cross burning. In other words, they consistently associate racist with symbols most egregious for white supremacy, but they don't associate white with it. We see anybody can be. Okay. In short, fleeing persecution, right, okay. New racism, the binary. Racist, bad, ignorant, prejudiced, right, old, okay. Racist, not racist, good, and it talks about. My students associate racist in this way, but if white Americans if they truly hated racism, why can't they distance themselves from it? After all, what threat has ever ended because it was turned from or fled from? So this person, I'm trying to read this to you, and I tried reading it earlier, and it gets it's a very long article, which I won't get into on the air, and it gets very convoluted. But let's just go back up to the title of it, because it really does explain everything. How white Americans' hatred of racism actually supports racism rather than solve it. The answer to that is, if you hate racism, then you're not. Okay? If you hate the idea of racism, chances are you're not a racist and you're not supporting it. But they want to say that as a white person, you're racist anyway because you're a white person. This is everyday feminism. The article is about 10 pages long and very convoluted. And I won't read it to you because not only will you tune out, but if you bothered to stay tuned, you would get a tumor. And I don't want to do that to you. All right. I have to rush down after the show today to Cheyenne, Wyoming to host Thankful Thursday. Hosting it with me is Alf.
Good morning, Cheyenne. We are looking forward to our final Thankful Thursday of the season. And what better way to wrap up the season than doing the YMCA? We have Patty here in the studio with us. Patty, we're excited. Well, it's a bittersweet because this is a fifth and final Thankful Thursday for the YMCA. But over the last 4 years, we raised a lot of money. So tonight, is there special projects, or is it just everything you do for the community, what we're raising money for tonight?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. You know, we always want to help support our child care and other youth programs, but we've also got projects going on with the physical building. So,
you know, that place is amazing, the things you do there. And so, you know, we're going to be at the Linkaway Event Hall. It's 3839 East Linkaway. Come on out and join the fun. As I said, it's our final Thankful Thursday of the season, and chances are you'll be seeing me do the YMCA up there. Everybody wants to do that. But doors are open at 4. Now, we're going to have food tonight, right? Because we were talking before we went on the air about if you're getting off work, don't need to go home, just come on down.
Yeah, we're going to have 2 food trucks that everybody loves, Ranch Eats and Mad Flavors. So that'll be great. So.
You know, Patty, I like this thinking outside the box because we've never had food trucks there. So I think this is going to be pretty neat. Maybe you may be setting a new trend here.
There you go.
Now, the live auction doesn't start till 6 o'clock. So if you're getting off work, you got time to get there. But give us a little teaser on a couple of the live auction items.
Well, we have a couple different things. We've got a cabin at Estes Park, a weekend there. That'll be fantastic. And then we've also got a camp, the YMCA camp down near Boulder. It's an overnight kids camp called Camp Lake Tumbleson or Tumbleson Lake, and a week of that, which is really phenomenal. We've also got a cowboy-themed Christmas tree that's been hanging out down at Town and Country Liquors, but it's really, really special.
I've seen that on Facebook.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. And some custom-made cornhole boards. They're just beautiful. It has Wyoming and a moose, and it's just really pretty. So just lots of different things.
Real quick, did you say you had some beef also before?
Yeah, we have 2 quarter beef. This is from a local ranch, the McCrady's. Chris McCready is a former board member of the Y, so she goes back a long time with us and gave us that beef all processed and ready to go.
All right, it's all going to be the final Thankful Thursday of the season. Come on out and join the fun. 3839 East Lincoln Way. Doors open at 4 o'clock. Live auction doesn't start till 6 o'clock, but we have over $8,000 we are giving away tonight. So come on out and join the fun. You could win money just for walking in the door. We will see you at Thankful Thursday, raising money for the YMCA.
And I'll be down there in Cheyenne, Wyoming. That'll be, shortly after I leave here today. Drive all the way down there and host Thankful Thursday. By the way, on Friday, I'm up in Casper, Wyoming, in front of the Walmart because it's Birds and Bucks. That's when we collect all sorts of foods for people to have a good Thanksgiving dinner. If you want to donate a turkey or other items or just donate some cash, we make sure that families who couldn't afford a Thanksgiving dinner will be able to get one through our Birds and Bucks program. So for people in Casper, Wyoming, tomorrow, join me in front of the Walmart east side of town. We'll be there from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. I'll be there starting at 11 for a few hours. If you want to stop by, say hi, and just donate whatever you can, whether you want a cash donation or you want to bring some food items in, whatever that might be. All right, coming up on some local business we have to take care of. Then we're going to roll into, local news, update on the weather forecast, and more open phones. Wake Up Wyoming.
Temperature. The best talk show host in the state, within his price range. Tune in to Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, weekdays at 6.
9:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Okay, so 888-97 Woods the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. Okay, you're going to like this. Every so often I give you a story where I say, take this story, go to work with it. Bring it home after work if you're sitting around having a beer with your buds. Bring the story up. This I'm leaving it for you so you can do that, right? Backed by millions of liberal dark money, groups are trying to teach climate activists how to talk like human beings. Okay, so this is on Twitter. Everybody's still doing it. Twitter, formerly X. So a liberal climate group backed by dark money has realized that climate activists don't know how to talk like normal people. You think? And created a whole presentation as a part of a Talk Like a Human campaign. And phrases like climate change should be replaced with extreme weather, the group suggests. And the group also suggests people no longer use terms like sacrifice when talking about the subject instead of enjoy. Suggest more positive future than doom and... Oh, this is a big one. Suggest a more positive future rather than constantly talking about doom and gloom. Because that's all climate activists do. Which, remember, this is the cult of climate change, right? And the cult of climate change sees this as the end times. So that's how they talk about everything, doom and gloom. Now, hang on, there's a slideshow that I'm trying to call up here that has some of the alternate phrases that they want to put in here. I'm calling this up, and I'm trying to enlarge it a little bit. This is not going very well. All right, I'll see what I can read out of this. Climate change, use extreme weather instead. Sacrifice... Let's see. This is supposed to be, it's supposed to be something healthy. Not warming, but overheating. Okay. Carbon tax. How about a pollution fine? So it's not a carbon tax, it's a pollution fine. Sacrifice, use the word enjoy instead. Big oil, no. Dirty fossil energy. So you see, it's all, and it goes on and on like this. The whole point of it is they're trying to say all of the same things, but they realize the message is failing. But like everything that happens like this, one leftist message after the next is always the same message. But if they resell it, if they repackage it, maybe you'll go for it. And remember, at first it was global warming. Well, it was global cooling. Then it was global warming. All right. Then they tried saying global climate disruption. That didn't sell. And they kept changing the terms until they settled on climate change. That's the latest one that they've been using is climate change. So all of the other words and phrases that aren't selling with the American people, what if we just repackage it again? How many times did they repackage this? Okay, so the show, it says here, the organization also features a series of slides telling participants not to exaggerate and explains that while a climate crisis, that's the latest climate crisis, and climate emergency work for people who are already terrified, it doesn't work for people who are not. The sides are also suggesting keeping the phrase tied to where a person lives rather than globally. Organizations such as the ones who sponsored the project, again, this is money sent through the back doors, so you won't see who's spending money on this. Still, Potential Energy continues to take millions of dollars from, and it talks about different groups out there. Also, in 2021, this group called Potential Energy joined other dark money groups for climate power, a legal conservation group, as they call themselves out there. So, all right, that just so you know, that is the latest, and expect to hear new terms over the years. I'm not sure all of what those terms are going to look like. I just have sort of a short list here. But they're going to come up with new terms and new ways of talking about this in order to convince you. But let's call it what they really are. This is an end times cult. They honestly believe that the end is nigh, and it's because of CO2. And although they're the ones who say they believe in science, they're about as anti-science as it gets. By the way, the latest global, sponsored by the UN Climate Summit, COP29, just recently ended. Oh, and I did have this for you. Let me see if I still have the audio for this. On COP22, there was a lot of talk about veganism and not eating meat, and yet there was meat everywhere to be had. Everywhere. It was absolutely hysterical. No matter where you went to take a look at this, there was meat everywhere. When you take a look at the climate conference that they just got done with. Pardon me while I'm, Colorado visits Old British Farm. Let me see if I can go over to, bear with me for just a moment here, as Climate Depot did this. Yeah, here we go. Mark Morano. Okay. Let me see if I can play this for you real quick because it was just hysterical.
Now, I showed you some great stuff from the COP29 climate conference in Azerbaijan yesterday. Remember the bloke who saw all the talk about taxing meat to make us all turn vegan to save the planet, and then he noticed what all the delegates were eating?
High-profile speakers talked about meat rationing and a meat tax and how the danger that agriculture and farmers were doing to the climate summit. Well, guess what? At this UN climate summit, you can see right there, they're serving beef hot dogs. They're serving burgers. I have the menus here. Meat is here, and I have not noticed any kind of meat tax additional on the food.
Here is the line at COP29's food court for the buffet serving meat. Another buffet serving meat, and here is the vegan-only restaurant.
Okay, so just so you know what he was just showing there, there was two big long lines where they were serving meat, and over at the vegan-only section, there were like 4 people standing there.
Honestly, he's just happy to be here. Catch Glenn Woods on Wake Up Wyoming, weekdays at 6 on air, on Alexa, and on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
Down over to the icebox where Frank Gambino is waiting by. You know, sometimes, Frank, someone puts up a sign, which I think, well, thank you for letting me know that. That was important information.
Yeah, or it just say, why did you even put that? Because I know that.
Yeah, okay. Well, here's one. I thought this is really important information. We should put this out in front of our studios right here, out on the street. Remember what your valet who parks your car looks like, because we don't have valet parking.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, see, now, that would be information that I would need to know.
Yes, we do not have valet parking.
We don't. We don't.
And
do
don't
that
give
kind
your
of
keys
stuff.
to somebody
No.
here.
Yeah, no. And even if they did bring your car back, don't tip them.
No,
because we don't have that here.
No, we don't.
Okay,
we don't
so-
tip anybody here.
No, no,
We don't get tipped here.
No, we certainly do not get tipped here. Although I give out tips all the time on the air.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take any of them if I were you listeners out there. And no advice from us whatsoever. I mean, don't take any advice from Frank. He leaves his Christmas tree up all year long.
All
It
year
tells you
long. And I dust
everything.
it also. So
yes,
there.
no, he doesn't. No. So, if you do pull up to the radio studios here, which we do invite you to come, ring our doorbell, that doesn't guarantee we're going to answer it.
No.
But you can ring that doorbell, by God. You go ahead and do that. Yeah. But we don't have a valet. So I'm thinking the valet parking sign out front, I might actually have to do that, Frank.
Yes, because I think there's some people that think that we here
Yes.
will park their car while they come in and conduct business here at the radio
But
station.
also,
But in fact, we're going for a joyride somewhere.
Yes,
you know,
somewhere,
and
yes.
hey, where'd all my gas go?
But you also know that I like to put up signs now and then that just confuse people. Remember when I put that sticker over that, there was an electric panel by the back door?
Yes.
And I put a sticker on it that made it look like it was a light socket?
Yeah, yes. That was very clever. Yes.
I thought so, yeah.
All righty, we'll talk about junior college volleyball. Eastern Wyoming from Torrington is in the national tournament in Clarksville, Tennessee. Today they will meet Weatherford, Texas in a loser-out match. Yesterday, the EWC lost to the number one rated team in the country. That was Southwest Florida State in 3 straight sets, 25-16, 25-13, and 25-17. Eastern has received a solid year so far from Cheyenne East grad Bowden Lillydahl, who as a libero and had over 700 digs this season. Wyoming Cowgirl volleyball team will host Utah State tonight, Nevada on Saturday. The Cowgirls are coming off a 5-set loss to Fresno State their last time out, so they're 14-11 overall, 6-10 in Mountain West play. Top 6 teams will advance to the Mountain West tournament in Las Vegas, and at 6-10, UW is currently 7th with 2 matches to go. In the college basketball for the men, the Wyoming Cowboys at home tomorrow night hosting Southeastern Louisiana. Pokes are 3-1 after a win over Utah Tech their last time out, and Southeastern is 2-2 after a 3-point win over Louisiana Monroe. That's a 6:30 start tomorrow from the AA in Laramie. Wyoming Cowgirl basketball team with a matinee game taking on Colorado Christian Friday morning at 11 a.m. They will take the UW coming off a loss to Gonzaga in Spokane on Sunday and have absorbed losses to Colorado and BYU, so they're 1-3 on the young season. Game will start at 11 a.m. tomorrow at the AA. And the Wyoming Cowboy football team will meet Boise State on Saturday night in Laramie. It is a battle of one of the best teams in the country in Boise State and one of the worst teams in the country in Wyoming. Cowboys are 2-8 after a listless performance against Colorado State and Fort Collins over the weekend in the border war, losing 24-10. Boise State is 9-1, rallying from 14 points down to beat San Jose State 48-21. Bronco running back Ashton Genty with 159 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, and he's in the running for the Heisman Trophy. UW 22.5-point underdogs, and that'll be a 5 p.m. kick on Saturday from Laramie. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. That's it in sports.
And my message to UW stays the same. Just don't look bad losing. Go down looking good.
It would be nice if they were respectable.
Yes.
I mean, it really would be nice.
Yes.
You know, the fans are trying to search for anything they can get now that's somewhat positive.
Yeah.
And being respectful. Just to have a respectful performance against these guys. Think, hey.
Yeah. Just see, that's all we're asking for is we know you're going to get your butts handed to you, but just look good while you're going down in flames. And I see no problem in that whatsoever. And I also put the same pressure on the cheerleaders, on the coaches, and the water boy.
Everybody, yes.
When the water boy is delivering the water, you look damn good doing it, like you're the best water boy in the country.
I think they have more water girls than they do have
Do
boys.
they? Well, there you go. Pretty girls?
Very much so.
Get the prettiest girls out there to see, and then we save some face.
And Wyoming will win that battle every single time.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on I'm just trying to help folks. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time, national local update on the weather forecast. Let's Wake Up Wyoming.